we're a little over a month removed from the craziest trade deadline any of us have ever seen. And now that all that initial excitement has officially worn off, it's time to see how these teams have panned out a month later. From the Dallas Mavericks gambling everything to keep Luka Doncic happy, to the Lakers pulling off what looks to be the haul of the decade, especially at a damn deadline, to Phoenix getting KD, yet he still hasn't even played a home game in Phoenix. Let's not waste any time and let's see how things are truly shaping up. Let's start with the LA Clippers scooping up Russell Westbrook from the buyout market. I'm not trying to make any excuses for Westbrook. I'm not even a Westbrook fan, but I know the record looks bad. But this is literally what happens in every new situation you put Russ in. It's a major adjustment period, and this is the gamble the Clippers took. Russ so far has been solid. Like, it hasn't been too great, but it hasn't been too bad, and he has brought some value. With the new spacing the Clippers team do provide, similar to the Rockets in 2020, Russ has actually been a lot more efficient, shooting 50% from the field, which, if you know Russ, that's extremely abnormal. Also, offensively, the Clippers have been a lot more efficient with Russ on the court as opposed to when he's off. That can't be denied statistically. The pace, they went from like a top 20 pace to like a top 10, which Russ teams tend to do. And the bigs, Russ tends to develop a solid rapport with every big he plays with, and Zubac and Plumlee, they have a solid connection with Russ. So that's the value that he has brought. But of course, there has been some negatives, and that's probably why they're 2-5 with Russ. One of my biggest concerns with this move, and I expressed this in my Russell Westbrook Clippers video, is how exactly the offense will look when Russ doesn't have the ball. Teams are blatantly disrespecting this man per usual. This isn't the 2017 Thunder where Russ can just dominate the ball every single possession, inevitably turning his teammates into spot-up shooters. So when he doesn't have the ball in the half-court setting, he's naturally making his teammates play 4-on-5, which doesn't really work now, and it definitely won't work in the playoffs when the game slows down. Also, and we always knew this, Russ is a turnover-prone point guard, and say what you want, that stuff is very contagious. The Clippers went from like a top 12 team as far as taking care of the ball to now being the second worst since getting Russ. And also, the Clippers have been terrible defensively since getting Russ, and that's not specifically on Russ, but they allowed the most points off of turnovers since getting Russ. That's not helping that defense. Literally, that's the exact same problems the Lakers had last year, so that trend does follow. So in conclusion, it hasn't been terrible with Russ, but it's all on Ty Lue to figure out what works, who works, and when they work, and stick to it, forgetting everybody's ego. Let's talk about the team he left, the Lakers. D'Lo, I support you for year after year after year. People always ask me, bro, why do you support D'Lo, bro? He hasn't loaded yet. And as soon as I jump off, now it seems like you loaded. Like, maybe I was the bad luck charm. Maybe that was it. The Lakers, they look different. Like, they look scary. Like, nobody wants to see them in the West if they can get healthy. Malika Andrews, she reported that after that Memphis Grizzlies win, that was the happiest she's seen that locker room look in a very long time. And when you watch him play, it looks like it. I know the West fluctuates literally by the day, but at the deadline, this team was the 13th seed above only the two teams that's tanking in the conference. Now they're a game away from 6. This has all been with D'Lo only playing 4 full games and LeBron missing 6 in this time frame, and they're 4-2. Last year without LeBron, they were a mess, 8-18. They were terrible. They literally didn't have a pulse. The best all-around addition of these moves so far has been Jared Vanderbilt. Like, when he's on the floor, the Lakers are forcing opposing offenses into the worst offensive rating in the NBA. When Jared Vanderbilt plays, you know what team has the best defensive rating in the entire NBA? It's the Lakers. Since the trade deadline, you know what player has the best individual defensive rating? It's Anthony Davis. You know who's fourth? It's Jared Vanderbilt. When those two share the court at the same time, it's a nightmare for opposing offenses. Also, with the spacing that Malik Beasley, who's been extremely streaky so far, I get that, and D'Lo provides, it seems like it revitalized Austin Reeves to a certain extent, Troy Brown to a certain extent. Anthony Davis looks a lot more dominant. The team collectively looks a lot more fluent offensively, and you combat that with the defensive intensity Jared Vanderbilt brought to that squad, and that team is a nightmare of a matchup in the playoffs if they can get healthy, and we know that's a big ass if. The Dallas Mavericks, they look literally exactly how most people expected. Kyrie and Luka Doncic, they've been incredible offensively, and it took no time. Kyrie and Luka, they're combining for 60 points a night efficiently, and they have the 5th best offense since he arrived. Also, with the natural attention Kyrie brought to that team for opposing defenses, the Mavericks, they've been shooting the lights out. Collectively, they're shooting over 40% from deep since he arrived, with nearly 11 players. 11 players shooting 40% from deep, nearly 11 players. That's insane. But defensively, just like anticipated, we knew they'd struggle, and they have. It's not like Dallas were world beaters defensively before Kyrie joined, but since he arrived, that backcourt has been getting torched nightly. I know these are great players, but this is like every single night. De'Aaron Fox scores 33 on him, and then the following night scores 36, and then Ant scores 32 on him, and then LeBron on one leg torches them in the second half. Then Maxey, Harden, and Embiid combines for 91 on him, and then the following night Book and KD combine for 73, and then THT has one of his best scoring nights of the season and scores 21 on him, and then CJ McCollum killed him the other night. Like, this is every single night on that backcourt. They are getting torched. So this team has been as good as advertised offensively, with two of the best players this league has to offer. But defensively, they can't get stops, and that's what the playoffs is about, and they're not getting many of them. The Brooklyn Nets. I told people I didn't think they got fleeced because they got some valuable pieces for KD. Mainly, I'm not even going to waste no time. Mikal Bridges. Since becoming a Net, this man is damn near averaging 26 points a night, and with more opportunities now in Brooklyn and less hands on the ball, look at his usage rate. Look at how much more he's scoring off the dribble, efficiently, looking, dare I say, like a mini Kevin Durant. He's proven he can play on ball. He was just adjusting his role to what Phoenix exactly needed. He's proven he can create for himself and be efficient at doing so. And I don't know exactly what the Nets' long-term plan is with Mikal, but if they embrace a full-on rebuild and with the contract he's on and the value he provides on both sides, he's going to be a hot-ass commodity anywhere if he hits the open market. So they got some true value back for KD. And lastly, the Phoenix Suns. It's truly heartbreaking to see what happened to KD because he fits in so seamlessly, and you can see the true effect he was having on Devin Booker. I guess the OKC game would debunk what I'm about to say because he did go off even without Kevin Durant. But with the attention KD does bring to any defense, Devin Booker was finding his rhythm back from that injury. Look at his first 6 games without KD coming back from that injury, and look at his last 4 or 5, looking like a mid-season 2006 Kobe. Now, as great as D-Book and KD has looked together, I do think Chris Paul has to be a lot more aggressive, or they're going to turn into the 2022 Nets. You don't want KD and Book being KD and Kyrie, where they're taking turns going back and forth offensively, because in the playoffs, that's proven to burn out, especially for a thin team like they are. So at times, Chris Paul has to penetrate off the pick and roll, looking to score, not kicking it out to the open shooters and getting out the way, making the right play, like utilizing that automatic mid-range game that he mastered. And I know he's kind of washed now, but he didn't lose that completely, has he? I don't think so. That's still Chris Paul, and that look is going to be open with that attention. And against Dallas, he kicked it out way too much to a Kogi and Terrence Ross, and I didn't like that. That would be my only critique in this small ass sample size. These are just my thoughts. Comment what team you think is benefiting from the deadline the most. I think it's the Lakers and probably the Knicks. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, they got that special Villanova connection, and it's been working. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.